Good afternoon. This is Big Red Truck coming to y'all live. And I got some great pointers for y'all. This will be the tips for the newer truck driver, the beginner's guide, alright? It'll be a little longer video, but I'll give you every pointer I can give y'all for the newer truck drivers coming into this type of occupation to get y'all a good head start and know what to expect when you take that big leap into the professional driver's world. Alright? So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with tip number one. The right company. Now, the right company to go for, you need to look at a couple factors here whenever you decide to take that big leap and try to go for a company. Now I'm going to give you a little hint inside this to help you with it as well. Don't just join any darn company and expect it to work out right, because it won't. Here is what you need to look into. You need to look at pay. What kind of pay you're getting, whether it's salary, just straight salary, CPM, based on the loads. You know, you get a percentage of the loads. You need to look at kind of stuff like that. Alright? Because you want to provide for yourself and or your family, or both, and still be able to make it out here in this big bad world and provide for everything you need to do and cover all your expenses. Alright? Now, second thing, number two, you need to look at inside this, first starting out with the company phase. You need to look at your benefits, whether or not you get a 401k, whether or not you get, your medical, dental, all those kind of benefits. You need to look at those and see if that company you're thinking about even offers it. Now, besides benefits, something else, number three, you need to worry about. Is it fixed dispatch or open dispatch? If it's fixed, I'm on a fixed dispatch, so I can't really complain. But, if it's fixed, what type of dispatching methods do they use? Number four, where do you run? Do you run all United States, all conjoining states? Or do you run from a certain boundary to a certain boundary, like Colorado Rockies to the East Coast, and everywhere in between? Or do you run all state, countrywide? They're going to lie to you about this, how many miles you're going to get. So don't even ask, can you guarantee me 2,500 miles a week? That ain't up to them. That's up to you, man, and what kind of loads you take. Whether or not you run right can all just depend on how many miles you're going to get. Alright? Sorry, my truck has a 5-minute shut off, so I can keep hitting the gas to sit there and to reset the timer. Also, things you need to worry about. What kind of equipment are they running? Are they running older style equipment, or are they running newer modern equipment? I'm in a 2020 Kenworth T680. Alright? Also, layover pay. Do they pay layover pay? Do they pay their lumpers fees? Or does that come out of your pocket? Do they pay tolls? Do they have these little free passes right here? That's stuff you need to consider when you start out working for these companies, because if you don't, you may be out a lot of money before you even start. Alright, besides the expense part and stuff like that, because there's plenty of videos on what to ask your recruiters. Alright, here's the main tips for the newer truck drivers. Alright, you need to first get a base on where you're going. You don't just need to, start driving and expect the world to conform to you. All right, you need to have a route based out of where you're going to go, how far you're going to go in that time, and how long it's going to take you to get there. Because if you do not have a route based out, sorry, I had to look for something. If you do not have a route based out, you're going to miss a couple things here. First thing you're going to miss, you need to figure out, you're going to miss the truck stops you need to go to. Like which truck stops will be better for you, what mileage, where you can get the most amount of miles, but still be close to your clock so you don't sit there and run over and have to park on the side of the road, or you have to sit there and just not even, have 2 hours left on your clock and you're just sitting. You gotta, when you're a company driver, lease driver, these trucks are usually screwed down. But what I mean being screwed down is mean they're governed at a certain speed. You can't go over that speed. You can drive under it, but you can't go over it. My truck is screwed down to 64 miles an hour. So what I usually do is I base my truck doing 60. That's about average. All right? So what you do is however much time you have left on your clock, you sit there and you see how many miles I can get in that amount of time if I ran that consistent speed. Like, your handy dandy calculator on your phone is a really big thing to have. But thanks to experience, I got my own calculator. So what we're going to do here, just to give you all a basis on what you need to do, all right? I'm going to do a little calculations right here. Say your truck is governed at 64 mile an hour, based it at 60, just in case. All right. Say I'm just going to use a random number. Say you got 4 hours left of drive time left. All right. You do 60 times 4, 240 miles. You have 200. You can make it 240 miles, if not more, before you have to pull over. All right. So what you need to do when you get a plan going is you need to figure out how many miles, like that was 240. So you try to find truck stops around that 240 area. That way, you at least have a little bit of time to, relax. That's why I based off 60. Usually do 5 or 10 mile an hour under the speed limit to just get a basis. That way, just in case for traffic delays and stuff like that. All right. You need to sit there and think about these kind of things. But what you try to do is you're trying to find a truck stop that is based within 60 or so miles, 40 to 50, something miles of that area. That way, you got plenty of time to get there, and you want to get there at a right time to sit there and keep you from being screwed up because drivers get in there. In these bigger cities, you need to be in a truck stop before 5:30, 6 o'clock area, because that's when them truck stops start getting, full. So you got to sit there and worry about that, all right? So worry about your time and planning. Know where you're going to be at that amount of time, and still leave time where you're going to be on time for your loads. Because if you're not on time for your loads, it ain't no use to you, all right? Another thing to worry about. You need to worry about traffic delays. Know where, God, I hate this thing. Know where your traffic's going to be. Know when the traffic's going to back up. Know when things are about to go, know when things are going to get backed up so you're not stuck in that situation. All right? Another things you got to worry about. What kind of loads are you hauling? Are you hauling cars? Are you hauling flatbed? Are you hauling reefer? That way you can have time to sit there and strap your loads down, still have time, to get everything ready and to get on the road, all right? The more amount of time you're on the road, the more amount of money you're going to make. As that old saying, if your wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning. As a company driver, that sometimes doesn't take into effect, but owner-operator's lease, if you ain't rolling, you ain't earning, man. If your wheels ain't turning, you ain't earning, all right? So there's some modern tips for the newer model truck driver. I'll actually do a couple videos on this just to sit there and get everything going, all right? But that way I can give you all more tips as we go along. But I am going to say this. Be sure